Greetings, it's Darth Compiler and welcome to the first part of the Introduction to Blender for Game Developers tutorial series. In this video we will look through Blender's visual interface and have a look at its main capabilities visible from the first glance. By default, after the creation of a new project in Blender, you will see something like this. In the middle, there is a quick setup window which you can skip for now, clicking anywhere else in the application. Generally, Blender is divided into several workspaces. The default workspace, the one that is right now visible on the screen, is called the layout. You can see the current workspace and the list of others at the top of the screen, in the applications menu bar. Each of these workspaces provide a set of different functionalities to be used for a specific purpose. Frankly speaking, division into workspaces and differences between them are not that important, as more advanced and experienced users of Blender may modify them and adjust their viewing tools for their own needs. Okay, so let's have a look at those workspaces. The whole list of them can be simply divided into several groups by their meaning. The first group consists of layout, modeling and sculpting workspaces. In this group you can set up your scene, change position of your objects, modify meshes, etc. etc. So, for example, in the layout group we can just preview our scene and change our layout, for example, of positions or other transforms of your objects, and set up the correct position for the render. In modeling, we can modify those objects, for example, a default cube, like we have here. And sculpting is kind of the same as modeling, but still provides a different set of tools, resembling a real-life sculpting. So, the modeling workspace supports, let's say, a more technical approach for 3D modeling, and sculpting is a more visual one. So, as you may have noticed, layouts, modeling, and sculpting workspaces look kind of similar. They have the similar structure. So they have the same set of working areas. The only difference is that they're currently active mode. We will talk about these modes a bit later, but for now, let's go further to the next group. So the next group is about materials and texturing. So basically, the next workspace, the first one from the group, is called UV editing. It allows you to unwrap your 3D model on a 2D space in order to apply textures correctly, because as you may know, textures are just simple 2D images. What do we have next? Texture paint. This workspace allows you to paint different colors, for example, over your model or an image. So basically here, you can color your model in any way you like, if for some reason an automatic way of doing that does not suit your needs. Shading workspace, the last one from the group, contains an extremely powerful tool for creating procedural materials. And of course, here, you can just set up some properties of materials in order for them to be visible on your render. As you can see, on the bottom half of the screen, there is a node structure. Using those nodes, you can just set up like any kind of material you can imagine. Either it's a PBR material, a procedural one, or a stylized material, for example. Everything is possible, you just have to figure out how. Alright, so then we have another group of workspaces. Here we have animation, rendering, and compositing. And as you can see basically from the names, it allows us to do some kind of work connected with renders. So an animation workspace is most basically used for creating animations. As you can see, we have a timeline down there and a preview of what the animation will look like on the left side, etc. Yeah? But still, some of you may not find these areas really useful because, for example, you can create animations in layout too that also use a timeline. So it just depends on your preferences. The rendering workspace just allows you to preview and analyze your rendering results, and that's pretty much it. Compositing tool, however, the last one, is mostly used for the post-processing of your rendered images, and some kind of analyzing and processing of your rendered information. So in case you want to modify your render, for example add some kind of a gloom effect or any other one that is not available in, for example, camera settings, or you may have just forgotten to apply the effect before completing the render, this is the right place to change that. Of course, you can use for that any other kind of application, for example Photoshop, but Blender also allows you to do that, if you prefer to use a node editor rather than drawing. Alright, and the last group, but not least, as we can see, provides us a more algorithmic approach, let's say a more algorithmic way to create 3D models and manipulate them. So here we have once again nodes, geometry nodes. It simply allows you to procedurally model any object, any shape, just using these nodes. But in case you prefer writing traditional code more to setting up connections between nodes, like me, for example, there is a possibility to do that in the last workspace for us created. As you may know, the Blender is written on Python. So basically, if you're familiar with that, You just have to know the Python API and you can write your own scripts and functions that may help you somehow during your work, for example extending the existing functionalities of this application. Alright, this is pretty much it concerning workspaces available for us in the default Blender configuration. As you can see, after the list of these tabs there is a plus button which allows you to create more of them to yourself in case of need. Okay, so I hope now you have quite a good picture of what are the main applications of Blender, what fields are covered. Of course, without a deep dive in there is no possibility to grasp them all, but we will try to look through them one by one in the next tutorials and courses. In this particular course, we'll be working mostly in layout and modeling workspaces. But first of all, in the next video, we will look through the general structure of each of the workspaces in more detail. For example, how we can manipulate that, how we can adjust its sizes, for example, in order for us to feel comfortable. Thus, if you found this video helpful, give a like, post a comment. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video.